Now let's take a look at how the basic configuration of Sophos Mobile works and how devices get policies. On the screen here, we're looking at the core elements and relationship for our configuration. We have profiles, which contain device settings. These profiles can be combined into task bundles along with apps. So profiles and apps can make up task bundles. A task bundle is basically a job that facilitates multiple interactions with a device, installing profiles, installing apps, maybe giving the user some feedback along the way. This is similar to an ISO image you might put together for a computer. Task bundles will be used for all the enrollment tasks, whether for the self-service portal or for admin enrollment. Task bundles can also be used with compliance rules, which are used to constantly check device states against corporate rules to ensure the devices are healthy. These are the key elements: profiles, task bundles, and compliance rules. There are some supporting elements. App groups are used in profiles and compliance rules to ensure that devices have certain mandatory apps loaded on them and to allow and block additional apps. Apps themselves can be directly pushed to devices on an app-by-app basis, or they can be included inside task bundles as part of enrollment jobs. So that's a quick overview. Now let's combine profiles, task bundles, and compliance rules ourselves. We'll start here in the Profiles and Policies menu to cobble together an iOS configuration. We have a bunch of profiles here already, but let's create a new one. This is always our starting point. Fill out the name, organization, and description fields, and then we'll add some payloads to it. Here we have all the different settings we can apply to an iOS device. Let's start with the password policy. We'll go with a simple 6-digit password requirement. We can then apply restrictions. Let's insist that documents can only be shared between managed accounts or non-managed accounts, for instance, to ensure the segregation of corporate data. Also helpful is to add a preset Wi-Fi connection so that devices can connect to the company's wireless network right out of the gate. This all makes up a base policy, so let's go ahead and save that. We also recommend that you separate the base policy from data policies, so let's set up an email and VPN policy, for example. Fill out the name, active sync host, and domain, and then if we leave the user, email address, and password fields just as you see here, when this is pushed out to the device, it'll pull in each user's unique username, email address, and it'll prompt the user for the password. Similar setup for VPN. We'll add a VPN configuration, fill out all the necessary fields, and click Apply. So now we've configured 2 payloads for our data profile. We'll package this along with our base policy up into a task bundle. When creating a task bundle, we need to make sure to enroll the device first, so that's always the initial step in the bundle. Let's then choose the Install Profile or Assign Policy task. We'll choose the base policy that we recently created, followed by the data policy we recently created. We can also say install an app on the device. Let's say we want Sophos Mobile Security installed by default. And perhaps we finish up the task bundle by sending the user a success message. So that's the task bundle. You can reorder items here, but if you're happy with what we've put together, let's click Save. And finally, let's take a look at compliance rules. You can create rules for different groups of people within your organization, but we'll look at the default rules for iOS that get checked for people who fall into the default group. We have a list of enforceable rules here, each with 4 columns of potential consequences for violation. We can deny email access, lock containers if you use the advanced version of Sophos Mobile, we can deny network access, or simply send admin notifications. For severe violations, such as a jailbreak violation, we can also execute a task bundle. In this instance, if a user jailbreaks his or her device, it'll get secured by the lockdown task bundle. In the rule column, the graphics to the right of each item represent the relative severity of each potential violation. 3 bars means a high severity, while a single bar means a low severity. For example, perhaps a device hasn't synced in a while, say if a user is away on vacation. So let's save this, and then back at the main compliance screen, we can click the Check Now button to check all of our devices against our newly updated compliance rules. And with that, we're done. Back on the main dashboard, we can see all of our currently non-compliant devices and drill into more detailed data if necessary.